Good morning and welcome to Football League World TV. My name is Ned Holmes and today I'm joined by Rotherham United fan Tom Eyre for the Rotherham Fan Voice Show as we look ahead to the 2022-23 Championship season and discuss whether Paul Warne can keep the Millers up. How are you doing this morning, Tom?
Yeah, I'm all right. Bit hot, but not bad. What about yourself?
Yeah, all good, thanks, mate. As you say, an absolute scorcher, but hopefully we can sort of take our mind off it a little bit by talking all things Rotherham. Before we get started, just a reminder, as always, guys, please do like and share the video, subscribe to Football League World TV on YouTube, and let us know your thoughts in the comments. Well, obviously, the show is about sort of looking ahead to the coming season, but we're going to start off by looking back at last season. A second place finish in League One, of course, that sort of dramatic final day with three teams going for the top two and a third promotion back to the Championship in the last 5 years. Tom, what did you make of last season then? It was sort of all about getting the job done and getting out of a very competitive League One, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, like you said, competitive is a bunch of heavy hitters in there who, maybe didn't exceed their expectations. But I believe that looking before the season, prediction-wise, most people put us mid-table, and then to finish second, not even playoffs, straight into the Championship. I think we really excelled. Down to some players, but I think the manager in particular really helped us get there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we'll look ahead now to some transfers and stuff like that. I'm going to start with one which I guess the big headline, and that was of course losing Michael Ahikwe and Michael Smith to Sheffield Wednesday in that sort of free transfer double blow, which I think I think probably a lot of Rotherham fans wouldn't really have believed once you'd secured promotion that sort of thing was on. No. I mean, what do you make of that sort of double blow, and how much do you think you'll miss the pair this season?
Well, I mean, we've been first off, we've been in the Championship with them three times before, and obviously we've come back down. So maybe it is time for a change. They're both getting on in terms of both heading towards their 30s, but yeah, I mean, Sheffield Wednesday is the only big blow. I can see why they've moved, maybe for money, because getting on, they need to look after their families now, and I absolutely get that. Football is not just a sport; it's a life and a career for these people. So finding ways to benefit your family for years to come is obviously their priority. But I think the main bit that Rotherham fans are really annoyed about is the fact that it's Sheffield Wednesday, but there's not much you can do when a team offers more money. You got to go if that's what you want. But yeah, I mean, the way that they left was the disappointing thing. Treating Paul Warne like they did, kind of leading him on, thinking that they were going to sign on, and then turning their back on him, kind of thing. It's not the best way to go out, and I don't think they'd be. I personally, I'm not too fussed, but as a collective, I don't think Rotherham fans are going to be welcoming them back anytime soon.
Yeah, I can imagine. So, as you say, it did seem like Paul Warne was sort of got that sort of manager that seems to be very open with his players and with the press and everything like that, and perhaps didn't get that openness back. Looking at the pair of them, then, which do you think you'll miss the most this season?
They were both influential in the season. Smith scoring, top scorer, scoring plenty of goals, and Ahikwe being not just consistently good at the back, but being fit at the back as well. He was one of the main ones that was fit the entire season and was a regular mainstay in that back three. But end of the day, they've got their styles. Smith's a hold up man. He runs the channels well, and Ahikwe is just a stopper, really. Very very committed in the defensive aspect, but on the ball maybe not quite as good. So they're replaceable, and they're replaceable with younger players as well who can come on and show their stuff. So yeah, in terms of actually losing them, I'm not too fussed. It's just the manner in which we lost them and who to, and that kind of aspect. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, moving on then, Freddie Ladapo, of course, joining Ipswich after his contract expires. He's probably the highest profile departure. What are your thoughts on his exit? Sort of been signposted since obviously handing in that transfer request in January.
Yeah, like you said, it's been on the card since January. I mean, the fact that he didn't go in January just baffled me, to be honest. Because when it came to summer, he didn't want to be there, did he? It was quite obvious in from what Paul Warne was saying to what was said in the media, etc. You know, he probably didn't want to be there, and you know, wish him the best. He scored when he scored. He's a goal scorer. You know, he might miss a lot, but he's a goal scorer. So I wish him the best at Ipswich. But you know, like with Smith and Yekwe, it's just the same principle. Just move on from him now. They've been with us in the Championship before. Time to move on in hopefully bigger and better things.
Yeah, absolutely. And before we go on to sort of the new arrivals and the squad itself, any other of those departures that you want to touch on at all? Any that you were particularly happy to see go or sad to go or anything like that?
I don't think I'd ever be happy to see anyone go, just because you know it's not nice losing some players. But you know, people like Mikael Miller, I think his fitness issues were really the pinnacle behind him leaving, just because he was, you know, 15 games, he was fit for 5 of them, kind of thing. And you can't really have that lack of consistency in the Championship, you know. But on his day, he's a Championship player, so that's one I was sad to see go. I would have liked to see him get another chance. Same with Angus MacDonald. Was arguably our best defender last time we were in the Championship, and he's just been unlucky with match fitness and different variables coming up and in his personal life, and he just was never match fit, so he never got the chance to proper kick on as a Rotherham player, and I was a bit gutted to see him go as well. But in terms of general departures and general arrivals, I'm quite content with leaving that to Warne and Rob Scott. I really think that they know what they're doing, so if they've let him go, then fair enough, it must be the right decision.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you touched on new arrivals there, and we'll talk about that next. We'll start in the final third then. Obviously, Michael Smith, Freddie Ladapo among the departees, Mikael Miller as well, of course. Tom Eaves joins on a free transfer from Hull City. Connor Washington leaving Charlton on a free to strengthen the forward options. What do you make of those two? Do you think they can score the goals you need in the Championship next season?
That's the big question, isn't it? You know, clearly they both fit Warne's style of play of, you know, aggression and high pressing, and you know, that work rate that Warne admires in a player. But whether or not they've got the goals in them, I'm not quite sure. You know, Washington didn't finish with too many in the League One campaign, so a step up for him. You know, he's got, you know, he worked hard and he runs the channels well, and he's, you know, a kind of player that Warne loves. But whether he's a goal scorer, I'm not too sure yet. Same with Eaves, not scored too many for Hull over the past couple seasons, albeit they didn't suit his play style. They didn't play to his strengths. And it's got to be said that before he joined them with Gillingham, he was scoring a goal every 2 games or something along those margins. So, you know, they both, every striker's got it in them, or else they won't be playing at that level. But whether or not they can hit it consistently, you know, it's difficult. I think if you're looking at anyone to get the goals, it's going to be Eaves or even Georgie Kelly, who feels like a new signing. I know he did the heroics on the last day, but even in it, he even feels like a new player come in, because he's not been fit enough.
Yeah, absolutely. I've heard a bit of talk. Well, I've seen some stuff on social media and stuff about Georgie Kelly in pre-season. Is he someone then that you've got high hopes for?
Yeah, he looks sharp in pre-season, which you know, we've had a lot of injuries enough injuries pre-season. He's one of the ones that looks lively, looks up for it, and looks like a good finisher as well. So, you know, whether or not he gets the chance to play, or whether Warne's going to bring in another attacker and play them, you know, yet to be seen. But I think even Georgie Kelly has a part to play in this season, and if he comes off, then then that's our goal scorer, it looks like.
Yeah, absolutely. Centre backs Jane McCart and Cameron Humphreys join, as well as Peter Kioso and Cohen Bramall, to sort of strengthen that back line. What do you make of that business, and how happy are you with the defensive options heading into the new season?
Well, it looks like again they're going to go with a back 3, back 5, whatever you want to call it. Kioso, I've quite liked him since Northampton, to be honest. I used to I've seen a couple of highlights of him from then, and he seems like a very powerful, quick, defensively strong right wing back, right back, and he looks good he's been looking good in pre-season as well. Same with Bramall on the other side, quick, aggressive, defensively sound. You know, they're two players who I can see being our full backs, wing backs for the remainder of the season if they can stay fit. With McCart, not seeing anything of him yet. With St Johnston, you know, so it's a step up the Championship, I do think. But St Johnston fans seem to like him. He seems to be quite composed on the ball. Same with Humphreys Grant. You know, Bournemouth win for him at some point. Middlesbrough, I believe. Maybe not. Sheffield United, Stoke, maybe. Either way, you know, he's come from City's youth academy, clearly good on the ball, and I think that's what Warne's trying to experience with more. He's quick, strong. It's just these kind of quick, strong, aggressive type players who are also got a bit about them technically, and I think that's where we're verging towards. Because, like I said, Iekwe and Smith are both replaceable in their styles, but I think that Warne maybe wants someone a bit more comfortable on the ball at the back to play out, and that seems what he's got with McCart and Grant, to be honest.
Absolutely. I mean, I guess how strong at this point do you see the squad in comparison to when Rotherham have champions in pre-campaigns, and off the back of that, which areas would you like to see them sort of strengthen in the remaining weeks of the winter?
Well, in terms of the squad that we have, I think it's subjective, isn't it? You know, I can say this is the best squad we've had for years, which currently I don't think so. Or say, you know, we're looking hopeless. You know, it's subjective completely. But like I said before, I believe I trust in Warne and Rob Scott. You know, they've got the signing spot on year after year, and if that's what they believe, if these are the players they believe can keep them there, then keep them there, because it's all down to their judgment really, and I trust that. But at the same time, Warne's already come out and said that, you know, he's looking at getting 5-6 more players in. So whether or not we get, you know, there's been a couple that have not just got across the line, they've signed for someone else. I'm not sure who. But in that sense, you know, we're still 5 or 6 short, which with 2 weeks to go till the first game of the season, you know, you're looking at least getting 2, maybe 3 in before then, and then another 5 or 6 before the end of August, before the end of the transfer window. So it's tough to make out, but I think based on the technical aspects of our players, I think we should be looking up rather than looking down. Yeah, but we're still low on depth. That's the main issue.
Yeah, I think I agree with you in the sense that it could certainly be the busier weeks of the window for Rotherham in terms of incomings likely to come. We've had a comment in saying the squad's still not strong enough for the Championship. Also saying that Paul Warner's got to stop thinking players are as loyal as him. There could be worse to come if Wiles or Barlaser goes. Wanted to talk to you about those two. Obviously vital in the promotion push. Fantastic players, as you say, probably the two that outline, you know, the technical qualities sort of risen in recent years. They've both been linked with moves away. I think it's Wiles that Warne said that they've had a couple of bids rejected for, one in excess of 2 million. How important is it you keep hold of that pair?
I mean, if we've not got an option in strengthening them two players, then they're vital to keep in the team, because the way that Barlaser and Wiles dictate play is phenomenal, and you saw that in League One last season, along with Rathbone, who goes unnoticed a lot of the time and is someone who is, you know, can really show his worth in the Championship. And you know, I believe it was Burnley that came in for Wiles, and that just goes to show how good a player Wiles is. Burnley looking to go back up to the Prem and keep him with their squad. You know, he's clearly a fantastic player. He's 23 roundabout, so he's still got plenty of time to learn and get better. So he's one of the players that, whether it's this summer, next summer, whatever. He's going on to bigger and better things. I've said it before, and I'll keep saying it because he is a fantastic player. It's maybe the same with Barlaser as well. You know, if he can't stay with us and keep things ticking over, then he's just going to go on to do bigger and better things. Because if we hopefully we don't, but if we do go down, I can't see them staying with us because they're too good for League One, and they've shown that. Same with Chio Ogbeni. He's another player that, you know, a year left on his contract. If we don't sell him, he's more than likely going to go next season on a free, which is gut wrenching because we could get a lot of money for him, and he's a fantastic player. Same with the other two. So look, we'll have to see, but currently, with the signings that we're not making and the depth that we're not having, we really do need to keep them to not only keep them in the squad, but keep them fit as well. Because as soon as they get injured, it's where our run of form last season took a hindering, and we went a couple games playing quite poorly when they were, not fit, not on form. They're integral. They really are.
Yeah, absolutely. You'd have to say that the state of the Rotherham squad at the moment, and the way there's been those sort of near misses, you do feel if the Millers are going to stay up, it'll be those two sort of at the heart of things. We'll move now to sort of look at the early season schedule. I think the first 7 games: Swansea City, Coventry City, Reading, Preston, QPR, Birmingham, and Sunderland. What do you make of those first 7? I mean, obviously it's going to be important to make a strong start, and those first 7 look to potentially give the opportunity for you to do that.
Yeah, no, it does. Absolutely. Even Swansea first game of the season, I have a weird feeling that we will get a result against them. It'll be at home. New players, new everything really. First time in the Championship in 4 years, where the fans can go and watch. So it's a whole different thing. So I think it'll be a good game, and I think that we could get a result out of that because I do think that Swansea haven't strengthened as much as people hoped they would have.
Yeah,
they've sold quite a few of their bigger players. That is he called Flynn
Downs? Yeah,
Downs, who's just gone to West Ham. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting, but definitely Reading, Birmingham, and Sunderland. We went up with Sunderland. They're a good team. They are. So that'll be a tough game. But we beat them. We beat them once last season and drew, and we were arguably the better team in both games. Birmingham have looked, stayed up by the skin of their teeth last season, kind of thing. Same with Reading. If they've not and Reading have lost John Swift as well. Birmingham have lost a couple loan players, not really lost their manager. There's teams in worse positions than we are right now, and that's what a lot of Rotherham fans forget is that a lot of teams, even if you look at the likes of Derby financially, are in a lot worse position than us. So those first 7 games, they're important, but they're not crucial. Like the end of August is when the transfer window closes. We've got another month to sign players. The first 3 games we can go and lose them all 3, sign 5 or 6 players. Theoretically, we probably won't, but sign 5 or 6 players, and then win the next 4, and it's all good again. So I do believe that out of those 7, the 3 important ones are Birmingham, Reading, and Sunderland, because you kind of want to beat the teams in and around you, and I think that they're going to be the teams that are going to be in and around us next season. But even last season, we went to penalties with QPR in the FA Cup, so it's not like it's a absolutely stone like must wins. If we don't play well, then we're going down. Because we have it in us to get those results. So as crucial as it might seem, it's not the be all and end all. So we'll have to see, though. We will have to see.
Absolutely. Well, it's certainly going to be very interesting, as you say, to see Rotherham come up against perhaps a bit harsh to call them sort of relegation rivals, but at least the teams that we're expecting to see sort of in and around Rotherham next season. Well, Tom, I'm sure you're aware, and most Rotherham fans have been made aware of the fact that Rotherham are the relegation favourites with most betting companies at the moment, 11-8 on Bet365. Do you think that's fair looking at the rest of the division?
Yes and no. Yes, I believe we're bottom, aren't we? We're
Yeah.
favourites to finish. So in that regard, no. I do think that, we probably should be, probably up there with our squad and just coming up, and we've been relegated every time we've been in the Championship for the past couple of seasons. There's a lot of factors against us, but then again, you look at teams around us, Reading, Birmingham, other teams that came up with us, Wigan, Sunderland. It's not like we're, even Hull maybe lost Lewis Potter.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not like we're the standout team to get relegated. There's other teams struggling, and it all comes down to these last 2 weeks. I think it's way too early to say without a full transfer window behind you, without full pre-seasons. Obviously we're struggling for depth, and we're struggling for just getting enough players in. But you look at the players we're bringing in, and they're Championship quality. Maybe you can argue Washington maybe isn't because he's League One and come up, but everyone else that we've signed have been, up there in Championship quality. So it's not like we're signing players for the sake of it. We're signing players who are going to improve us, whereas a lot of other teams, might just be looking to make up numbers. So, I think I genuinely believe that Rob Scott's the best out there. I genuinely do believe that, because every signing he's made has been just perfection, really. And obviously Warne helps with that process, but I believe that Rob Scott really does help. So whoever we sign is going to improve us. And if we can get 5 or 6 over the line, which Warne wants, that's 5 or 6 Championship quality players who are really going to improve our squad. And I think that if and when that happens, I don't think we should be considered at least bottom. We might be in that relegation scrap. Hopefully not, but I really do believe that with an extra 5 or 6 players, which is a lot to ask for, we could really push mid-table to maybe not to playoffs, but anything can happen with Luton and Huddersfield last season. Anything can happen. You can have a one-off season. You can have a striker who scores absolutely everything. You never know with football. You never know.
Absolutely. Well, certainly. Well, one thing Rotherham do seem to have on their side is as you're sort of emblematic of it, a huge amount of trust in the likes of Rob Scott and Paul Warne. I mean, what's your prediction? We've talked about what could happen. What do you feel like is going to happen? And do you think Paul Warne can keep the Millers up this season?
Again, it depends on these next 2 weeks. Currently, based on the players that we have and where we are in terms of financial backing and whatever, it'll be a tough relegation scrap. I don't want to say that we'll get relegated, because no one ever wants to say that, and no one ever wants to think that as a fan. But it's tough to see us put together a squad week in, week out that can compete in the Championship with our current players. So
Yeah.
based off of that, I'd say you're looking at towards the lower end of the table, probably relegation. But again, it's these next 2 weeks to 6 weeks, because anything can happen in any game, and the transfer business is only it hasn't finished yet. So if we can get in these extra players, then I really do believe that we can push on.
Absolutely. Well, before we go then, just a few comments that come in. We've got Charlton fan Johan Morrison saying, from a Charlton fan, Connor Washington is solid with a target striker like Eves, not clinical though. And we've got a question in also about Josh Kerr. What do you make of the injury, Josh Kerr? I think it's 10 weeks he's facing out. Is that?
Yeah, it's not great, especially for Josh. It's not great. Pulling your hamstring off the ball, and sometimes when those injuries happen and you're out for 10 weeks, they never really recover. In terms of, there's always slight niggles here and there for hamstrings and whatnot, and it just hopefully for him it's not cataclysmic in the sense of he's a constant injury prone. But I mean, for us, it's, I don't think he would have played in the Championship anyway. I don't think he's ready. I think he would have been sent out on loan. So in terms of for us as a club, I think it's not the worst thing that could happen. But in terms of for him, he seems like a great guy. In terms of his own development, it's a big blow because I think it's his first major injury, that he's out for a longer period of time. And, it's he was looking sharp in pre-season as well. He scored 2 in 2. He's looking every season he looks more and more dangerous. And this season could have been probably, hopefully still is the season where he kicks on and really performs. But it's a big blow for him 2 months out. And then you've got to think about getting back to match fitness as well. So it could be in excess of 3 months before he's fully fit again. So, it's tough on him. But in terms of the whole squad dynamic, it's not the worst thing that can happen because I think Warne was planning to get another striker in anyway. So, yeah, that's my personal opinion. And I think Ogbenny's going to play up front anyway. So I think we have 4 strikers fit now, relatively. Well, Eves isn't fit,
Yeah, your thoughts there seem to be sort of reflected in the comments as well. As Adriette says, bad for Cody, but he agrees not ready for the Championship. Well, a fair bit of positivity, I guess, looking ahead of the return to the Championship, and as you say, Tom, a huge few weeks ahead in the transfer window for Rotherham. That's everything from myself and Tom today. We've got an action-packed schedule on Football League World TV. At 2 p.m, George Douglas will be joined by Lee Charles for the Blackpool Fan Voice, while Sam Rourke will, as ever, be your host for the EFL Transfer Zone at 4 p.m. That just leaves me to say thanks very much, Tom, and thanks everyone for watching.